the alcohol industry is bankrolling some pretty scary ads about the legalization of pot. One in particular that we're going to be talking about today. In Massachusetts, there's a ballot initiative that would legalize marijuana, recreational marijuana. And don't let me just tell you about it. Let's watch the ad ourselves.
Question 4 would allow thousands of pot shops and marijuana operators throughout Massachusetts, in neighborhoods like yours. Shops that sell pot edibles that look like candy and high-potency marijuana. In pro-pot states, incidents of drugged driving and fatal car accidents are up. More pot shops than McDonald's and Starbucks combined. Higher potency, dangerous drivers. It's the reason health professionals are urging you to vote no on 4.
Ooh, Kevin, you got caught. All right, so that ad is entitled Neighborhoods, and it obviously focuses on a mother and daughter who are driving past a comical number of marijuana dispensaries. But let's get into the meat of what they're talking about in this ad. So the sale of pot would actually be regulated more carefully than cigarettes, should this initiative be voted forward, and sold only in licensed dispensaries to those 21 years and over. So sorry, kids, it's not a candy shop. It's not open to the public. Also, more on that, there is zero evidence that recreational marijuana has had any effect on the rate of fatal car crashes. The blood tests that medical examiner's office use aren't able to accurately determine whether or not traces of THC were enough to impair a driver's ability to drive. And I hope that we can get in a little bit to the site that they studied, the NBC News story from 2014 that says pot fuels surge in drugged driving and whatnot, because there's a lot of fallacy in that. But what I really think is interesting about this story is that the Campaign for Safe and Healthy Massachusetts appears especially concerned with the state's motorists. Their safety first message is undermined somewhat by the fact that several of the group's biggest donors come from the state's largest distributors of alcohol, a drug that is very much responsible for fatal car accidents. And that is just further evidence that we have the alcohol industry is bankrolling these campaigns against legalizing marijuana. Now, Cenk, I know you want to talk about this. Why are the alcohol, companies doing this?
So look, there's 100 different angles here that I love in this. My favorite is probably the woman in the ad. Oh no, what is happening? Even before Kevin got into the scene, she was like shocked and chagrined. Oh my God. Okay, we'll get back to her in a second. But now to the super serious. This is about money and politics. Because if you allow these groups to donate to politicians or to groups like this, well, what are they going to do? They're going to look for their own advantage. It's obvious. Any reasonable person understands that's what they would logically do. And so alcohol views pot as competition. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to influence the government to kill off their competition. That's why we shouldn't let them donate to groups like this and be at least cognizant of what's happening and know where those ads are coming from. That is not an ad to protect your children. That is an ad to protect their profits. That is exactly what that is about. Because if you get into the reality of it, are you kidding me? The number of people who die from drunk driving might literally be 1 million times higher than the people who die from driving while high. It's not a thing that's even, if it exists, it's certainly in minuscule numbers, whereas drunk driving fatalities are gigantic. So those people who paid for that ad, they don't care about impaired driving. If they did, they'd stop selling their own product. The whole point is to deceive you because they don't want the competition.
All right, Jason, I want to hear, what's your angle on this ad, on this story in general?
On this story in general, first of all, Cenk, I swear, we should be besties because you had said everything I was thinking. First of all, that video is hilarious. The mom is so distraught and oh my God, don't look up what it does. They had at least 5 dispensaries in one neighborhood, and it was just out of control. But I mean, look at her. She's just what are those edibles in the windows? Those are not Skittles.
How much are those edibles in the window?
I agree that this is for real, straight up, just big alcohol trying to cock block. I can say cock block. Yeah, okay. I cock block marijuana. I have lots of friends who live in Colorado who smoke an ample amount of some really good weed, and they have never been in a car accident. They have never killed anyone. They've never had their lives, I guess, maybe endangered. But I will say that in the state of Washington, in 2012, when it was made legal to purchase marijuana there was a slight increase in deaths from people who were driving under the influence of drugs. So, but not much. So I don't think it's that big a deal. But yeah, I agree. If the alcohol company is just scared and running for the hills that if this does get legalized, there goes all their profits. And again, money is the root of all evil. People just want to stay paid. I know I want to stay paid. So if I need to do what I need to do to stay paid, I'm going to do that. And this is just a covert and very, very, very clever way of sending this subliminal message that weed is the enemy.
Yeah, and I want to point out a little bit about the fallacy that they cited in that ad about the NBC News story from 2014 that says pot fuels surge in drugged driving deaths. Now, here's what actually happened here. The actual number of fatal accidents fell by more than 30%. The surge that they are referencing, it wasn't in the number of marijuana-induced accidents, it was in the number of victims who had traces of marijuana in their system, a number that obviously did increase because more and more states legalized medical marijuana. So that statistic that I've seen a lot of times doesn't really make sense because it's like the number, in the article that we're taking this from, it would be like mapping the number of fatal car crashes between 1999 and 2010 in which a victim had a cup of Starbucks coffee in the car. Well, obviously there are more Starbucks since there were in 1999, so it's going to be more.
And marijuana stays in your system for 40 days. So that doesn't mean you're high if you've got some trace amounts of THC in your system. So that's why all the numbers are skewed anyway. But besides which, you know this, and this is a fact, and there's really no debate about it. If your number one concern, as the ad seems to indicate, is people driving while impaired, well, then the thing you would ban is alcohol, not marijuana. It's not a question. Alcohol creates a lot more driving while impaired accidents and fatalities than marijuana does. That is a stone cold fact, and it's not even close. But the people paying for this ad are the alcohol companies.
Well, and here's another question for both of you. Do you think this ad is resonating with the families that they're trying to target in this ad in Massachusetts?
Well, look, marketing always works to some degree, right? So we look at it and we think that mom looks hilarious, like, all right, come on. Yeah, I got it. Reefer Madness, etc. By the way, oh my God, what about children? How about Bud Light ads? Bud Light ads are like, oh my God, we're having the best time. By the way, substitute any alcohol, right? We're having the best time and I'm getting all the chicks and guys, if you just had a Bud Light, man, the amount of times you get laid is unbelievable, right?
Totally.
So, yeah, that also encourages young guys to want to drink alcohol, and that's the point. When I was a kid, they had candy cigarettes, we would like pretend to smoke, and it was candy. That was to encourage us to smoke tobacco, and that was all perfectly legal. So now you're telling me, oh, the marijuana is the one super dangerous thing, gotta watch out for the kids. My ass it is. No, it's all about the profits. The whole 2-hour podcast of the Young Turks, commercial free, all the network shows, and you get to be part of independent media.
This is huge.
It really is. All that at tytnetwork.com/join.